Hi, and welcome to Three Questions with. Got my buddy Shawn with us from Injury Law Center. Hey, Shawn, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
So, Shawn, I asked you to come on the show today because I want to talk a little bit about personal injury. I guess my first question to you is, when do I know if I have a case? Because things happen in life and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to sue them. Don't always have a case though, right?
That is very, very true. First of all, I handle specifically personal injury, so there can be other types of issues out there that could be, constitutional type things. Those I do not do, but for a personal injury case, to know if you have one, there really needs to be two pieces that come together, and that's liability and damages. Liability meaning somebody has to have done something wrong, acted negligently, possibly intentionally. And that part is, it depends, it's case to case. The second part that's easier to know is your damages. And that's typically in the form of medical bills as a result of medical treatment and lost wages. Those are probably the two biggest pieces you see. And if you've been hurt either on somebody's property, car crash, that's something else that somebody's in the control of, and you have been injured and have medical bills, you very likely have a case. And there's really no case that's too small for me to evaluate. And that's really the best way to know if you truly have a case on your hands.
Yeah, so Shawn, tell me about the contingency, because a lot of times, something might happen and you're like, well, by the time I pay the attorney, it's probably not worth it. You work on contingency, so if you don't get a settlement, you don't pay, right?
That is exactly right, Kevin. So standard contingency fee is 1/3 of whatever we're able to obtain. Aside from costs come out at the end. But what that means is the investment will never be bigger than what you will get. So, and that's something we'll always consider. My first thought when looking to settle a case, if settlement is possible, is what is my client going to net at the end of the day? And that's always in the forefront of my mind. And when that happens, that means we'll never end up having a higher bill than what you're going to obtain. And that's very good for many of my clients, because if clients had to hire me on an hourly basis, if they had to hire any personal injury attorney on an hourly basis, they very likely wouldn't even be able to find out if they had a case. So it actually brings my services to be more available to a lot more people than might otherwise be. And it is a good reassurance that, you're not going to owe me at the end of the day. It's never going to be the case that you're going to owe me because of a result I got you. So if I get a negative result, if it's a defense verdict in a jury trial at the end of the day, you're not going to get a bill from me at the end of that. We absorb those costs for every case.
Shawn, one of the issues I see is sometimes something happens, you've been injured, and you try to deal with it yourself. You're reaching out to the company's insurance company, and unless you have the experience that you have, you may even think, oh, well, this is great. They offered me X dollars, like, woohoo. And realize that if I would have used you, it would have probably got a better settlement. Kind of risky to do it yourself, right?
Yeah, it is. It can be very risky. And that's a lot of the calls I get are people that started going through the process themselves. And what will happen is right after, I'll use a car crash as an example, right after there's a crash, you got a lot going on. You've probably got a car you're figuring out either getting repaired or replaced. And the insurance company will have two separate adjusters. There'll be a property damage adjuster, and then there'll be a bodily injury adjuster. And it's not always easy to separate the two or even know there's multiple people. The clients will just know there's multiple people calling them, and they're all just calling about the accident. And one of the important things I think people need to know is that insurance companies have obligations to stay afloat, stay financially stable, so that they can ensure they can pay claims out. So they have certain interests that they need to keep an eye out for. So while they will pay claims, they take a very mechanical approach to it. whereas I can bring in that personal piece, and I have an understanding of the system beyond the everyday knowledge and know what helps to get a case through and how to handle the adjuster and what really, at the end of the day, what settlement to accept or not, because it can make a difference. And oftentimes I can get a better figure, even considering the client having to pay my fee. So obviously I am a little biased as an attorney, but I always recommend a personal injury attorney, you know, whether me or somebody else to represent you if you've been injured.
So Shawn, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they learn more, my friend?
Sure. So we are online, injurylawcenter.com. I believe there's a dash between each of the words. I also have a page on Facebook, Shawn J. Tennis at the Injury Law Center. Email and all that is on the website, but it's stennis@ilcnh.com. And my office number is 603-883-4100. And if you call, just let the receptionist know you're looking for me, and she'll get me right on the line.
Shawn, I really appreciate taking a few minutes to call into the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you so much, Kevin.